Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do something completely different. I am going to build a frame from one of the old pictures that I took a few years ago. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. It was a beautiful picture that I really enjoyed making, and I've always wanted to print it, and now that we're finally in the home that we want and we have settled in, I started printing some of the pictures. I actually just printed just the one. And I'm going to build a frame for it. There will be lessons learned in this experience. I have dabbled with woodworking before, and so has my wife. She has helped me a lot along the way to do woodworking items. And today I am going to start putting together a wood frame that is hardwood. It's going to be ash. It's going to be a two-tone hardwood frame. It's going to be ash on the outside and poplar on the inside. The inside is going to get painted white and going to make the matte, but it's actually just going to be wood, because the picture that I actually printed is actually an acrylic picture. So I'm not going to put glass or nothing like that. It is already incorporated, but I would like to have that matte look to it. So that's how I'm going to two-tone this particular frame. I'm going to add a wood edging, which is like a matte. It's going to simulate a matte, and then the outer wood is going to be ash, and that's going to be stain, which with a stain, I'm not entirely sure what the stain I'm going to use quite yet. My wife's going to help me with that. It is a stain that simulates what we have with the furniture indoors, so that way it kind of goes all together. And in between the two pieces of wood, I'm going to put a piece of metal, which I'm going to glue with epoxy. So that's what I'm going to do. This project is going to probably take me maybe 2 days, maybe 3 or 4 days. It depends on the difficulty that I encounter. Like I said, I've dabbled with woodworking. I am not a complete expert, but I have had some successes and some failures along the way. So today I am going to, let me show you the piece of wood here. It is an old frame that I had, and the other piece of wood is a poplar. It is a pretty expensive hardwood. It's not cheap or anything like that, but it does, it's not cheap. So I'm trying to use it because this was used for an old picture that I had, and I never was quite successful with getting it going. But yeah, let me show you what else I got going on here. So this is the ash that I have here. This ash is 1 1/4 inch width, and my poplar is 3/4 of an inch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them to size, and I'm going to glue the poplar inside the ash. And I would add more girth, like put these together and make 2 pieces, but I'm just going to be adding more weight unnecessarily. I don't need any more weight on this frame. It's going to be already pretty heavy, and there's no reason for me to do that. So I'm just going to cut them to size and glue them to create the two-tone pieces of wood. So this one is going to be inside of this one. This frame, obviously, I have to cut up to resize. By the way, the entire picture is 18 by 24. So 18 width and 24 length, height. So it is a vertical image. By the way, I will also include the link of the video, so if you guys are interested in seeing this frame picture, the day I took the picture, that way you guys can see it on the video. I'll leave a card there on the channel. Just making sure here that everything is square. These are not necessarily precise machines, so I have to verify everything. Here I'm making the cuts on the poplar board. I ended up making the cuts at about 1 3/4 of an inch, and then the ash I ended up doing it at 2 inches, so I can end up with almost 4 inches and a little bit of space to trim down a little bit after. Here I'm making the 45-degree angle cuts on the miter saw. Here I am gluing the poplar against the ash, and then I'm going to clamp them together and let them sit. Here I'm just verifying how the metal strip is gonna sit and look. Last 1, 2, 3/4. We're gonna go 1/4 in. So I'm going to cut a channel here, and this is where the frame is gonna have a 45-degree angle cut here, simulating that matte finish that I wanted, that I was speaking about. So I'm gonna cut a channel here, a 1/4 inch thick here, and a 1/4 inch deep. That's gonna be the channel where the frame is going to fall into. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the saw, the table saw, to make those channels now. So I'm gonna put this at a 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna run it like so. So I'm just gonna put this guard here at a 1/4 inch, and then the height of the blade a 1/4 inch as well, so I can make that channel. These particular machines, they're not necessarily the most precise, so I just want to make sure that everything I can to minimize any mistakes from my end. I remeasure everything and make sure everything is square. 1/4 inch and a nudge. Basically, I just gotta make sure I make all the cuts at the same time so they're all the same size. And I'm just gonna do a little test run, make sure that the 1/4 inch is precise. Since this is already longer than it needs to be, I can take a pass at it to see if it actually matches. Alright, so now I'm gonna go ahead and set up the cut for the bevel that makes like the 45-degree angle on the matte shape, the wood, the edge of the wood where it's gonna simulate the matting of a picture. It's gonna have a 45-degree angle, so I'm gonna lay the blade down to do a 45-degree cut and just measure the guard out so it just slides over and makes that cut. So let's do that now. So another way to do this cut is with a router, but I have had a lot of bad experiences with routers, so I don't like using them if I can use the table saw. Plus, I don't want to set up a whole other tool just to make that specific cut, and I don't have the actual drill bit to make that cut. So I don't want to do it. I'm gonna do it like this and make it work. So now the little strips that I cut earlier, that 24 inch, which is the size of the picture, and the 18, I'm gonna make the cuts for it. And this is where I made these strips, because now I can actually precisely fit it where I need it, where the corners meet. This is where it needs to be, the cut be made according to this measurement here on the corner. You can see here. So that way, when this comes together, the where the picture falls in place, it will have enough space for it to fit in there. If I make the cut with this outside measurement, I'll be off completely. And ask me how I know that. Yeah. As I said, I've had old frames there that I have tried different things, and not that I just probably just didn't pay attention to the instructions correctly, and I messed up. And sometimes you can do a lot of things right and then miss one part, and that's what's going to mess up the cut. So that's how I know that. And that's why I do these little strips now. So now I also give myself still like half of a 1/16 of a millimeter, 1/16 of an inch. So I give myself still about half of a 1/16 just to play, just so the picture, there's a little bit of give, just in case. You got to remember, wood expands and contracts according to temperature. So I will give it a little bit of space so the frame can actually breathe a little bit. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna make this cut first. I'm gonna do a trim here, 45 degree, and then I'll measure from there. Had some barred owls come in for a visit this evening, so I decided to record it and put it here so you guys can see them. Pretty amazing to have them in the yard like that. So hey guys, we're back this morning. I do want to start by saying that I went ahead and made some cuts. I actually forgot to hit record, or it didn't record. Either way, I thought I was recording, but I did went ahead and trim the bottom part of the frame, just because it was just too wide. So I cut about 1/2 inch, just trim, and of course I'm gonna sand all this down later because I got those burn marks from the saw. Because you know it's not the best saw in the world. So I do have a planer. I might plane it as well, but I might just sand it. It's not that extreme. So, but I did cut a piece of the metal band that I'm gonna put. So it is about 1/8 of an inch of thickness, and then the width of it is about half of an inch. So the way I'm gonna put it is it's gonna go like that, and it's gonna be cut 45 degrees along the axis of the frame, along the cuts of the frame. So it'll probably be about here. Kind of center it a little bit more, maybe around here. Yeah. So that's gonna be my plan. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna cut the groove for that metal band about 1/8 of an inch deep, so it just kind of sits flush in there. So that is what I'm planning on doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the saw for that, the table saw, and mark on the wood where I want it and start making those cuts. So let me go ahead and start measuring that first. So let's see. I'm gonna get the. So this whole piece is 3 inches, 3 3/4. Somebody's cutting the grass. 3 3/4. So 3 3/4. Divide that by half. It's about 2.5. 2.5 is fine. No. 175 is 3. 150 is 3. Yeah, actually 175. 1 3/4. I of course went ahead and did all passes on all 4 boards, and then kept moving the blade in slow increments until I achieved the entire 1/2 inch width of the metal strip. I do keep verifying my measurements and everything just in case something goes off, because again, my machines are not very precise. So
just to avoid any mistakes.
Got a little sliver of wood still left, so I'm gonna kind of scrape that off a little bit. Not trying to cut into it any deeper, just want to scrape this off. It's nice to work with hardwood because it doesn't dent as easy as pine wood. Like, I've hit the sides of this and nothing has happened. I've hit the edges, nothing has happened. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll sand the edges here just to round them off a little bit. It's a little bit bigger than I would have liked, but you want a little bit of space to breathe, so that's fine. Nice. All right. So I had forgotten that I need to take my dog to the vet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick and then come back and glue this up, sand it down. Hopefully start staining today, we'll see. So let me do that and I'll be back. So like I said in the beginning of the video, woodworking is always a tricky situation, and here you can see the bevel here does not match, so I definitely missed a cut somewhere. Some kind of miscalculation or something wasn't completely straight. Either or. But half of woodworking most of the time, and you can... First, let me just state this. If somebody that's a woodworker is watching this, please do not cringe for the way I did things. I probably should have used a jig to do the 45-degree angle cut instead of a miter saw. Miter saws tend not to be very precise. The wood is also this piece of wood, I believe, is starting to torque a little bit, so that might have something to do with it as well. Let me see if I can. But here you can see how it's not matching up. So my plan is, once it's glued together, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put tape here and try and put some filler and try to sand it down. This part is going to get painted, so it won't be that noticeable. So, but it's gonna take some finagling. And this has been my experience when I do woodworking. Sometimes they turn out very good, sometimes they don't. I do believe that the machines that I have, they are not extremely good precision machines. So, of course, any good carpenter would not be blaming his tools. So, as I'm blaming the tools here, I know it's me. So, it's just part of it. But yeah, we'll keep working on this and go from there. It is what it is, but most of what I have learned as far as woodworking is that when somebody has a problem like this, a good woodworker can actually fix it. So that's what I have to try and do, just try and fix it and cover it as much as I can and go from there. So we'll see. I'm going to use this Beasley frame. I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's basically square frame. And basically I'm just gonna put it together first, and then I'll put the glue and then tighten it. I just want to see what it looks like initially. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this because you can finagle this and play with it all day long and not accomplish anything if I'm gonna move forward anyhow, so it may not matter too much. In case you're wondering, these cardboards, they're getting trash after this project, so I actually saved them from some furniture that got delivered, but that's definitely not something that I keep around, so I just kept them so so the squeeze out from the glue doesn't get all over the place. So in case you guys are wondering, oh, that's gonna get stuck to the board, those boards are getting grown out. So that one has a huge gap. That's gonna take some work to fix, but hopefully I can fix it. The rest of them is not too bad. They're definitely not squared, but I might be able to fix some of it. So the next step I'm gonna take is I have this dowel jig that my wife bought for a project, and I'm going to be using this to put dowels onto the side of the frame. I have a 1/2-inch walnut dowel that'll go nicely. It'll contrast against the ash very nicely. So I think I'm going to put this on there, drill it. It is a 1/2 inch. The bore of the dowel is a 1/2 inch, so that should work nicely. And then after that, should start sanding and staining. So yeah, that's my next project. So let's get to it. So as you can see, it's 1/2 inch right there. So I'm just gonna put this right along the edge and tighten it, and that should be the same measurement for every dowel placement in the same spot. So basically I have the die right against the edge of the frame, flush. So yep, nice. So this should turn out okay, because I am gonna paint this part here, so once the paint goes on, you probably won't notice much. So that's why I continue with the project. So I was getting ready to, I moved the frame so I can start painting, and this is what I was talking about, guys. So I moved this thing and it was already dead. But yeah, see, there's a scorpion there. So you put your hands anywhere around this part, and if you're not careful, well, you might get stung by a scorpion. Unfortunately, it's dead. I don't like killing anything if I don't have to, but I think when I was moving stuff around, I think I squeezed the board and killed it. I'm just chiseling out the corner so it matches a 45-degree angle with the bevel as much as possible from the excess filler that I put in yesterday. I'm not too worried because, like I said, it's gonna get painted, so. Alright guys, so we're back. I got some more primer. This primer is shellac based, so I am going to spray a little bit more. And since it's already shellac, it has like a sealing factor to it already. So the way it's looking with this first coat, it doesn't look like I need to add any more paint. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this and take a roller that is to create texture. I have a big brush, but I just cut it in pieces in the past, so I can just do this and just run it over, and that should be enough to create a texture. I'm not sure if you guys can see it there, but I hope you guys can see it. But it has like a texture to it here. So it's stained because it was used in the past, but it's still in perfectly good condition. Plus, it's just to create a texture anyhow. So let's give it a go. Let me show you guys. So there you can see the texture that is creating. Okay guys, so that bit is done. So now I'm going to wait for a few minutes, let this dry out, and I'm gonna start working on preparing the stain for the ash part or the outer part of the frame. And I have a couple of different stains that I'm gonna try. I'm probably gonna mix them together a little bit to create the color I want. It's like a dark walnut / ebony look that I'm going for, which is what matches what's in the room already. So I'm going to mix that and test it on a piece of ash wood to see what it looks like. So let's get to work on that. Alright guys, so the frame is almost dry, not completely, but I was able to touch it. It's not tacky anymore. But in the meantime, I was preparing this little jig that I created real quick, so I can make these cuts on this on the band of metal that I'm going to put there. So these are 45-degree angle cuts. So basically, I just place it in here. It's a little tight, but basically I can push it in there, lay it down, put my saw through there, and just do a 45-degree angle cut. So now I'm just gonna take it to the frame over there and measure it, make the mark for the next cut, and make that cut. So let's do that. I'll lay it there. Making sure it's all the way in the corner over here. So this will technically drop in here like so. Alright guys, I'm losing light here, but the frame is dry enough that I can put one coat of the wax, so that way I can kind of continue, let it dry overnight, because if not, I'll have to wait until tomorrow, and then this takes a long time to cure. So I want to go ahead and put at least one coat. I think one coat's going to be fine, but I might end up putting 2 coats, so we'll see. This is what I use. This is the wax that I like to use. It's called Osmo. You got to order it online. It's not necessarily easy to find, so it's pretty expensive too. At least it used to be. I'm sure it hasn't gotten any cheaper. So this product is mainly found like in Europe. So, and you definitely don't want to get that stuff on your hands. No, I thought it had some gloves. And all it requires, you just use these type of scratch pads, like a white scratch pad, and basically you dip it in and you squeeze it, and it just keeps leaking out the wax. And all you need is just a little bit. So. Once this pad is nice and soaked, I don't have to actually dip it so much. I just have to keep spreading it. So here are the metal bands. They are already epoxied in. Look pretty decent. There's one corner that's a little bit higher than the other. That one there. But not terrible. Here I'm placing and testing the French cleat that I'm going to use against the wall, just to make sure everything is fitted correctly before I place the picture. Okay. What do you guys think? I love this picture so much. So this here will be the French cleat. This will go to the wall, and I have a little bit of play so I can slide it whichever way I need it to. About 4 inches to play with. 3 inches. About 4 inches. Just measuring everything so I can make sure that the picture is actually centered to the wall and to the table. Well guys, I'm very happy with how this picture frame turned out. Hopefully next time I will be more accurate on my cuts and less mistakes will be made, but I am very happy as to the way it finished. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.